Before the United States was even a twinkle in a founding father's eye, folks in the American colonies still needed a way to buy and sell things. There wasn't a single unified currency. It was more like a messy garage sale of different coins from all over the world. If you were lucky enough to have some gold in your pocket, it probably wasn't American. You might have a Spanish doubloon, a Portuguese Joe, or maybe a French Louis d'Or. These coins were the workhorses of international trade, brought over on ships, carrying goods and people back and forth across the Atlantic. They were a tangible, heavy, and universally accepted form of wealth in a world built on trust and trade. The thing is, for the average colonist trying to buy a loaf of bread or a new pair of boots, gold coins were about as common as a friendly tax collector. They were incredibly valuable. A single gold coin could be worth more than a month's wages for a typical laborer. So, these weren't coins you'd use for everyday shopping. They were reserved for the big stuff: buying land, settling a major business deal, or paying off a large debt. For most people, daily life ran on a system of barter, credit note in a ledger book at the local store, and a motley collection of copper and silver coins, many of which were worn smooth and of questionable origin. This scarcity of hard currency was a constant headache. Each of the 13 colonies had its own way of dealing with the problem. Some tried printing their own paper money, but its value was often unstable and not trusted outside of that specific colony's borders. Imagine trying to use a gift card from a small-town hardware store in a big city 100 miles away. That's the kind of problem they faced. The value of foreign gold coins could also fluctuate depending on who was winning which war over in Europe. It was a confusing and inefficient system that made doing business a real challenge, highlighting the need for a more stable and uniform way to handle money. So, the monetary system of colonial America was a patchwork quilt, sewn together from foreign threads. Gold was the ultimate prize, the king of currency, but it was a king who rarely walked among the common people. Its main role was to grease the wheels of big commerce and serve as a store of serious wealth for merchants, plantation owners, and the colonial elite. For everyone else, the dream of a pocket full of gold was just that, a dream. This complicated and often frustrating economic landscape was one of the many problems the new United States would have to solve once it decided to stand on its own 2 feet. After the dust settled from the Revolutionary War, the brand new United States faced a mountain of problems. One of the biggest was money. The Continental, the paper currency printed to fund the war, had become almost worthless. The phrase "not worth a Continental" became a common saying for a reason. People were stuck using the same old mix of foreign coins and state-issued paper. The leaders of the new nation, guys like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, knew this couldn't last. A strong, independent country needed its own strong, independent currency. It was a matter of national pride and, more importantly, economic survival. The solution was to create a national mint, a place where the United States could produce its own official coins with a standard weight and purity, backed by the full faith and credit of the federal government. This was a radical idea at the time. It meant taking power away from individual states and centralizing the nation's monetary system. Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury, was a huge champion for this. He argued that a national mint and a stable currency would foster commerce, unify the states, and establish the United States as a credible player on the world stage. It wasn't just about making coins, it was about building a nation. This push led to one of the most important pieces of financial legislation in American history, the Coinage Act of 1792. This law did a lot of things. It officially established the United States Mint in Philadelphia, which was the nation's capital at the time. It also created the U.S. dollar as the country's standard unit of money and set up a decimal system, 100 cents to a dollar, which was way simpler than the British system of pounds, shillings, and pence. Most importantly for our story, the act authorized the minting of gold coins. It was a declaration that our money would be as good as gold, because it would literally be made of gold. The act laid out the specific denominations for the new gold coins: the $10 eagle, the $5 half eagle, and the $2.50 quarter eagle. The law was incredibly detailed, specifying the exact amount of gold and the alloy mix, a bit of silver and copper, to be used in each coin to make them durable. This wasn't just about making pretty pocket change. It was about creating a system built on tangible value. The idea was that anyone, anywhere in the world, could look at a U.S. gold coin and know exactly what it was worth. It was a bold step toward creating a reliable and respected American currency from the ground up. With the U.S. Mint up and running in Philadelphia, the first American gold coins were finally struck in 1795. The honor went to the half-eagle, worth $5, and the eagle, worth $10. These first coins featured a design of Lady Liberty on the front, with her hair flowing and wearing a distinctive cap, and a rather scrawny-looking eagle on the back. A year later, the quarter eagle, $2.50, joined the family. Getting your hands on one of these must have been an incredible feeling. It was more than just money. It was a symbol of the new republic, a solid, heavy piece of proof that the United States was a real country making real things of real value. However, these early gold coins immediately ran into a couple of big problems. The first was a simple matter of economics. The Coinage Act of 1792 had set a specific ratio of value between gold and silver, 15 parts silver to 1 part gold. The problem was, the market price of gold in Europe was slightly higher, closer to 15.5 to 1. This might seem like a small difference, but for money speculators, it was a golden opportunity. They could legally exchange their silver for U.S. gold coins, ship the gold to Europe, melt it down, and sell it for more silver than they started with. This meant our brand new gold coins were being exported almost as fast as the mint could make them. Because of this, U.S. gold coins were rarely seen in day-to-day circulation. They were like endangered species, captured and shipped overseas for a quick profit. The average American was far more likely to see a Spanish silver dollar than a U.S. gold eagle. The government tried to solve the problem. In 1804, President Thomas Jefferson actually ordered a halt to the production of the $10 eagle and the silver dollar to stop the bleeding. For the next 3 decades, the U.S. Mint focused on producing smaller denomination gold coins, like the half-eagle and quarter-eagle, but the fundamental problem of undervaluation remained a major headache. This situation created a strange reality where the United States was officially on a bimetallic, gold and silver standard, but in practice, silver was the only metal that really circulated as coinage. Gold was effectively hoarded, melted, or exported. The beautiful gold coins that were meant to be a symbol of American prosperity were mostly disappearing from the country. It was a tough lesson in global economics for the young nation. It showed that just making a coin wasn't enough. Its value had to be perfectly balanced with the rest of the world, or it would simply vanish. It would take a major legislative overhaul to finally fix the problem. For the first few decades of the 19th century, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was the only game in town. All the gold that was turned into coins had to be hauled there, which was a long and often dangerous journey. But then, something happened that started to change the map of American gold. In the late 1820s, major gold deposits were discovered in the southern Appalachian Mountains, specifically in North Carolina, and soon after, in Georgia. This was America's first real gold rush, long before the famous one in California. Suddenly a significant source of domestic gold was available right here at home, not from some Spanish shipwreck. This southern gold boom created a new problem. Miners and bankers in the South had to transport their gold dust and nuggets all the way up to Philadelphia to have them assayed and coined. This was not only expensive, but also risky, with the threat of bandits along the rough and undeveloped roads. The folks down south began to argue, quite reasonably, that it would make a lot more sense to have mints closer to the source of the gold. They lobbied Congress hard, and their arguments made a lot of sense. Why ship the mountain to the mint when you could bring the mint to the mountain? Congress agreed, and in 1835, it authorized the creation of 3 new branch mints. 2 were strategically placed right in the heart of the southern goldfields. One in Charlotte, North Carolina, and another in Dahlonega, Georgia. These mints were special because they were tasked with only one job to coin gold. A 3rd branch mint was established in New Orleans, Louisiana, a bustling port city that handled massive amounts of foreign gold and silver coming in from Latin America and beyond. These new mints, which began operations in 1838, marked a major expansion of the nation's ability to produce its own money. At the same time, Congress finally tackled the old problem of gold coins being worth more as melted metal than as currency. The Coinage Act of 1834 changed the game. It slightly reduced the amount of gold in each coin, which adjusted the official value ratio of silver to gold to about 16 to 1. This small tweak made all the difference. It was no longer profitable to melt down U.S. gold coins and sell them overseas. For the first time, gold coins started to stay in the country and actually circulate as money. This reform, combined with the new Southern mints, set the stage for gold to finally become a visible and usable part of the American economy. If the Southern gold discoveries were a spark, the California gold rush was a full-blown explosion. In 1848, a carpenter named James W. Marshall spotted something shiny in a river at Sutter's Mill. That glint of gold set off a tidal wave of migration and, honestly, changed the United States forever. Hundreds of thousands of people, known as 49ers, flocked to California from all over the world, all chasing the dream of striking it rich. The amount of gold they pulled from the ground was staggering, dwarfing anything that had been found before. It was a flood of wealth that would fundamentally reshape the nation's economy and its money. All this new gold created an immediate and massive demand for coining services. Shipping tons of raw gold from California all the way to the mints in Philadelphia or New Orleans was slow, dangerous, and really, just impractical. In the meantime, a chaotic system of private coinage sprang up in California. Dozens of private companies started producing their own coins and ingots, stamped with their value and purity. While these filled a desperate need, they were unregulated and varied wildly in quality, creating confusion and opportunities for fraud. The federal government knew it had to step in and bring order to the chaos. The government's response was twofold. First, it authorized new denominations of gold coins to handle the massive influx of wealth. In 1849, Congress approved the creation of the gold dollar, a tiny coin that was practical for smaller transactions, and the massive double eagle, a $20 gold piece. The double eagle, containing nearly a full ounce of gold, quickly became the workhorse of international trade and large domestic transactions. It was a powerful symbol of America's newfound wealth and economic might. These new coins were needed to convert the mountains of raw gold dust into a usable, standardized form of money. Second, and most logically, Congress authorized the construction of a new branch mint in the heart of the gold fields. The San Francisco Mint opened its doors in 1854. This new facility was immediately put to work, and in its first year alone, it turned over $4 million in gold bullion into coins. The S Mint mark on a coin became a symbol of the West's incredible riches. The California Gold Rush, combined with the new denominations and the San Francisco Mint, meant that for the first time in American history, gold coins became a common sight. They were no longer a rarity, but a tangible part of everyday commerce, jingling in the pockets of merchants, miners, and ordinary citizens alike. The era of plentiful gold coins came to a screeching halt with the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861. Wars are, incredibly expensive, and both the Union and the Confederacy struggled to finance their massive military efforts. As uncertainty swept the nation, people did what they always do in times of crisis. They hoarded hard money. Gold and silver coins disappeared from circulation almost overnight. People stashed them away, trusting the tangible value of precious metal far more than they trusted the outcome of the war. Pockets that once jingled with gold now held nothing but lint. To pay for the war, the Union government made a drastic move. In 1862, it began issuing paper money, officially called demand notes but popularly known as greenbacks because of the color of the ink used on the back. This was fiat currency, money that was not backed by or convertible into gold or silver. Its value was based purely on the government's promise to honor it. For the first time, the United States was officially off the gold standard. Gold coins did not circulate. Instead, they were traded as a commodity, with their value in greenbacks fluctuating based on Union Army victories and defeats. During the war and for more than a decade after, the United States operated on a dual monetary system. Greenbacks were used for everyday business, while gold coins were used for international payments and were bought and sold by speculators on Wall Street. The government itself still had to pay interest on some of its bonds in gold, which was a major financial strain. The goal for many politicians and businessmen after the war was to get the country back on the gold standard. They believed that a currency backed by gold was the only way to ensure long-term economic stability and international credibility. That goal was finally achieved with the Specie Payment Resumption Act of 1875, which took effect in 1879. The government had spent years building up its gold reserves, and on January 1, 1879, it announced that greenbacks were once again redeemable for gold at their pre-war value. Confidence in the nation's finances was restored, and gold coins slowly began to re-enter circulation. This period, from the late 1870s through the early 1900s, is often called the golden age of American currency. U.S. gold coins, particularly the popular Liberty head designs, were trusted around the world as a stable and reliable store of value. As the 19th century drew to a close, America's coinage was, to be blunt, a little boring. The designs like the Liberty head or coronet motif created by chief engraver Christian Gobrecht had been in use for decades. They were functional and respected, but they weren't exactly works of art. That all began to change when President Theodore Roosevelt, a man of immense energy and strong opinions about everything, turned his attention to the nation's money. He thought our coins were artistically dreadful and unworthy of a great nation like America. He wanted coins that reflected the nation's growing power and artistic sensibilities, something that could rival the beautiful coins of ancient Greece. Roosevelt found the perfect partner for his numismatic revolution in Augustus Saint-Gaudens, America's most famous sculptor. The president personally commissioned Saint-Gaudens in 1905 to redesign the coinage, starting with the two largest gold denominations, the eagle, $10, and the double eagle, $20. Roosevelt gave him a free hand, encouraging him to create something truly beautiful. The collaboration between the energetic president and the brilliant, but ailing, artist would result in what many consider to be the most beautiful coins ever minted by the United States. It was a true renaissance for American coinage. The result of their partnership was, honestly, breathtaking. For the $20 double eagle, Saint-Gaudens created a powerful image of Lady Liberty striding forward, holding a torch of enlightenment and an olive branch of peace, with the U.S. Capitol building in the background. The reverse featured a majestic eagle in flight. The initial versions were struck in stunning high relief, giving the design an incredible depth and detail. Unfortunately, this high relief was impractical for mass production as it took multiple strikes of the press to create each coin, so the design was later flattened for general circulation. Even in the lower relief version, its beauty was undeniable. For the $10 eagle, Saint-Gaudens designed a profile of Liberty, wearing a Native American war bonnet, a bold and uniquely American artistic statement. The reverse featured a proud, standing eagle. These two designs, the Saint-Gaudens double eagle and the Indian head eagle, were released in 1907 and immediately hailed as artistic masterpieces. They were so popular that the Treasury Department commissioned other artists to redesign the smaller gold coins as well, leading to the beautiful Indian head quarter eagle and half-eagle designs by Bella Lyon Pratt. For a brief period, American gold coins were not just money, they were pocket-sized works of art. The golden age of American coinage came to an abrupt and dramatic end with the onset of the Great Depression. The stock market crash of 1929 triggered a devastating economic collapse and a widespread banking crisis. As banks began to fail by the thousands, people panicked. They rushed to withdraw their money, and they didn't want paper dollars. They wanted gold. This run on gold threatened to drain the U.S. Treasury's reserves completely and push the entire financial system over the edge. The government needed to take drastic action to stop the bleeding and regain control of the money supply. That drastic action came in 1933 from the newly inaugurated President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Just a month after taking office, he issued Executive Order 6102. This order did something that would have been unthinkable just a few years earlier. It forbade the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates within the continental United States. In simple terms, it made it illegal for private citizens to own gold. Americans were required to turn in all but a small amount of their gold to the Federal Reserve, in exchange for paper money at the then fixed rate of $20.67 per ounce. The government's goal was to devalue the dollar against gold, which would hopefully stimulate the economy by raising prices and making American goods cheaper overseas. After the government had collected the nation's gold, President Roosevelt, with the authority of the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, raised the official price of gold to $35 per ounce. This effectively devalued the dollar by nearly 60%. While the public could no longer redeem their dollars for gold, foreign governments still could, but at this new, higher price. For the average American, the direct link between their money and gold was severed. Circulating gold coins became a thing of the past. The mints had continued to strike gold coins into 1933, including nearly 500,000 of the beautiful Saint-Gaudens double eagles. But because of the recall, these coins were never officially issued. Almost all of them were melted down back into gold bars. Only a handful are known to have survived, making the 1933 double eagle one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. This event marked the definitive end of gold coins as circulating money in the United States. For the next 4 decades, the jingle of gold in an American's pocket would be nothing but a memory. For over 40 years, from 1933 until the mid-1970s, owning gold was largely off limits for the American public. The country had fully transitioned to a fiat currency system, where the value of the dollar was not tied to any physical commodity. But things began to change. In 1971, President Richard Nixon formally ended the international convertibility of the dollar to gold, severing the last link to the old gold standard. This led to a period of high inflation and economic uncertainty. As a result, public interest in owning gold as a hedge against inflation grew, and in 1974, President Gerald Ford signed legislation that once again made it legal for Americans to own gold bullion. A little over a decade later, the U.S. government decided to get back into the gold coin business, but with a modern twist. The Gold Bullion Coin Act of 1985 authorized the U.S. Mint to produce a new series of gold coins, not for circulation, but specifically for investors. These became the American Gold Eagle coins, first released in 1986. They were made from 22-karat gold, the same durable alloy used for gold coins for centuries, and were available in different sizes, from a full ounce down to a tenth of an ounce, making them accessible to a wide range of investors. The design of the American Gold Eagle was a brilliant tribute to the past. The front of the coin features a modified version of Augustus Saint-Gaudens' iconic striding liberty design from the 1907 double eagle. The back features a new design of a family of eagles, symbolizing family tradition and unity. In 2006, the U.S. Mint introduced another bullion coin, the American Buffalo. This coin was special because it was the first U.S. coin ever to be minted from 24-karat, .9999 fine gold. Its design was also a nod to history, using the beloved Indian head and buffalo designs from the famous 1913 nickel. Today, these modern gold coins are not money you would use to buy groceries. Their face values, for example $50 on a 1-ounce gold eagle, are purely symbolic and are far below their actual value based on the current market price of gold. They are investment vehicles and collectibles, allowing people to own a tangible asset in the form of a government-guaranteed, beautifully crafted coin. Alongside these bullion coins, the U.S. Mint also produces a variety of commemorative gold coins to honor important people, places, and events in American history. These modern coins carry on the long and storied legacy of U.S. gold, connecting the present day to a rich numismatic past.